Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is calling for face-to-face talks with Russia's President Vladimir Putin to resolve the crisis between their countries. Zelenskyy was speaking at the Munich Security Conference here in Germany. He said Ukraine will not respond to growing provocations in the eastern part of the country, but will defend itself against Russian hostility. Kyiv says 2 of its soldiers died in an attack over the weekend. A shelling by Russian-backed separatists intensifies.
On the lookout as shells fall on Ukraine's eastern front. Government forces say they have been ordered to show restraint.
Right now, we don't respond to their fire because they're shooting at us now, at the command post. Our commanders don't allow us to fire, and we are following orders even if there is a wish to respond. Because the enemy is waiting for us to shoot back. But if there is no political agreement, things will get resolved with military power.
Ukraine's Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky came under fire while visiting soldiers in the east. He was brought to safety.
I am a civilian. I'm not a soldier. I'm shocked. And I know that the civilians who live here permanently feel this fear.
A fear that is uprooting lives as the crisis intensifies. Residents of Ukraine's separatist regions boarded trains bound for Russia. My husband said, "Go away, take the kids and go. Their physical and psychological health is more important than anything else." On Saturday, Russian President Vladimir Putin oversaw military drills with Belarus. The exercises include nuclear-capable missiles. NATO has joined the U.S. in warning that Russia is planning a, quote, full-fledged attack against Ukraine.
And for more on the crisis, DW correspondent Fanny Facsar joins us now from Kyiv. Fanny, how imminent is that threat of a full-fledged attack, as was just mentioned in our report?
According to the US, but also according to NATO, it is very imminent, even though there's still some room for diplomacy, as there are ongoing talks just right now between France President Macron and President Putin. So we do not know, of course, when this is going to happen, but just the latest development here that is really increasing the pressure, according to NATO, on Ukraine is the very fact that statement from Belarus that their joint military drills with Russia are going to be extended beyond Sunday, beyond today, even though prior to that, Putin said that they are going to end on Sunday. Now, according to NATO, it's estimated about 30,000 troops are in the north, in Belarus, neighboring Ukraine, and this could be used as an invasion, as an attack to invade Ukraine, according to NATO. We do not really know, actually, as there have been so many exchange of when a threat or when an assault is going to take place. Here in Kyiv, at least, people are trying to hope that there's still room here to avert and to avoid the worst, a bigger escalation that may mean a war in Ukraine.
Right, and that, of course, also was the tone that everyone struck at the Munich Security Conference, including Ukraine's President Zelensky, who spoke there. He asked, though, for more Western support and a meeting with Vladimir Putin. What are the chances that he'll get either?
It will be easier to get financial help, it seems, at least, because the head of the World Bank said that he considers both short-term and long-term financial aid up to $350 million as supposed to help the Ukrainian economy, help creating jobs with infrastructure, etc. When it comes to a direct talk between Zelensky and Putin, at this point, at least, it seems highly unlikely, also given the fact that their positions are really hardening, and already it's getting really difficult to even just listening to each other, let alone to talk with each other. The hope here is that at least through indirect talks, as it is happening right now, indirect talks between Russia and Ukraine through other channels, like with France President Macron, are going to help to make sure that this situation can be still solved without an actual full-scale invasion of Ukraine. At least this is what Ukraine still believes could happen if there's no aid, be it economically or military, for Ukraine by the international community.
Fanny, Belarus and Russia are to continue holding joint military exercises that were supposed to end today. What signal does this send?
There's no direct reaction just yet from Russia. What we know is what we know from Belarus, or the statement that they have just made about this there's no clear date actually how long this joint military drill is going to continue. What we know that it's going to continue beyond today, beyond Sunday. And the reason to that, the official reason given by Belarus is the escalation in eastern Ukraine, but they also say the increasing military activities close to the borders with Belarus and Russia, and as a result they're going to continue with their drills. Now, the NATO made clear that this entire situation is putting even more pressure on Ukraine, because at least 30,000 troops are in the north in Belarus right now, and they could be used to attack Ukraine and to actually invade, something that Russia has always denied that's going to happen. But after all, Russia also said they're going to withdraw their troops, and everyone who hoped that's going to happen quickly definitely see their hopes dashed right now with this decision that the military drills are going to continue with Belarus and Russia just to the north of Ukraine.
And of course, there have already been consequences. NATO is relocating its staff out of Kyiv. Germany has joined a list of countries that have told their citizens to leave Ukraine. How are people reacting in the Ukrainian capital? We see that life seems to be continuing as normal. Is that true?
Actually, people are concerned but not really panicking here in Kyiv, at least where I am. But today is a very important day for Ukraine. Also, in terms of its own history, people are commemorating here the 8th-year anniversary of the Ukrainian Revolution. At least 100 civilians have died in that uprising here 8 years ago at the Maidan. And people really do not want that there's going to be Russia, after all, writing the end of the story. After all, those people who took to the streets 8 years ago here in Kyiv, we're dreaming of a pro-European Ukraine and not that what's being influenced by Russia. So people are concerned, they're scared, but there's no panic. They are upset, however, realizing that once again, foreign powers are likely to take influence over the status quo of their country.
All right, Fanny Facsar reporting for us from Kyiv there. Thank you so much.
The recent shelling of Ukrainian-controlled areas which hit a kindergarten, among other targets, has been blamed on Russian-backed separatists. Our correspondent, Mathias Bölinger, visited the area to get a first-hand view of the situation and how it's affecting local residents.
The traces of destruction have been patched up. 2 days ago, this kindergarten in the town of Stanitsa Luhanska was hit by a shell. Now the kids are at home, but a visitor is expected. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk is inspecting the damage.
We do not provoke, we do not want an escalation. We want peace, we want protection and security for our people, especially for those who live here, for pensioners and children, and those who cannot protect themselves.
Gunfire can be heard frequently now here in Stanitsa Luhanska. Just before the minister arrived, we heard heavy artillery. The town has been shelled for 3 days in a row now.
When there are heavy explosions, we hide in the cellars. But when it's shelling like this, we're still on the street. Although nobody knows, it's all unpredictable. You and I, we're standing here now, and anything can fly by.
Stanitsa Luhanska is a small but important place along the front line. A bridge to the other side is open to civilians. Being one of only 2 checkpoints where people could cross over to the other side, this place has long been spared of artillery. But now this has definitely changed.
I think it will even get worse. I'm not a coward, but I'm afraid for my grandchildren. I wouldn't want them to be scared, and I don't want to see them disabled or dead.
International observers have warned that the escalation might be the prelude to a larger incursion or even a full-scale invasion.
Our intelligence does not confirm this. We are seeing certain steps towards an escalation. As we all can see and hear, there's shelling happening, but that does not mean that a full invasion is underway.
But even without a full-scale invasion, tensions remain high here on the front line.